Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about my individual research assignment. So, The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus in our stimulus packet tells us the story of Sisyphus, a man who was sentenced to eternal punishment by the Greek gods, and his punishment was to roll a stone up the hill and watch it go back down. According to Camus, this causes Sisyphus to lose his morality and purpose. And workers in the United States may feel the same way now. As jobs start to shift towards technological demands, the workers may lose confidence in their jobs. As the Pew Research Center states that 94% of jobs require the use of internet, and Dustin Sparks, an instructor and professor at the Georgia Tech's coding boot camp, said that there were 50,000 jobs that were left unfilled that had to do with technology in Savannah, Georgia alone. And so what can the education system, how can the education system be modified in order to adapt to this change of technology? So this led me to my research question. As job qualifications focus their shift on technological skills, should the US government require computer literacy or programming classes in schools? Through thorough research, I discovered that yes, they should, because first of all, it decreases the unemployment rate. According to James Besson of the Harvard Business Review, and he's also a CEO of a software company, there's an implicit assumption within management that managers need to hire better qualified workers for jobs. The National Bureau of Economic Research backs this up, as they state that the new technology requires higher qualified workers at first, but as technology becomes more prevalent in society, less educated people are hired if they have computer literacy skills. So, if the US government implements these computer literacy or programming skills in schools, these people would be able to learn and therefore get jobs, which decreases the unemployment rate. An example of this implicit assumption being true is the profession of the licensed practical nurse, or LPN. In the 1970s to the 1990s, these LPNs, the number of employment for LPNs decreased significantly because of a change in technology. Technology increased in computers as well as specialized surgery technology, which caused nurses not to be needed in hospitals anymore. This caused a significant decrease. But then as technology became more prevalent in society and these nurses started to learn of computer literacy and how to transfer that knowledge into their specialized surgery technology, there was a 909% increase in the employment of nurses in the past 2 decades. In 2015, it was also found that there were 7.9 million people that were unemployed in the United States, but there were 7 million jobs that required basic programming skills. Therefore, if the US government implements basic programming or computer literacy classes, then these jobs would be filled and therefore decrease the unemployment rate. The second point that I found was that having computer literacy or programming skills will increase productivity in the workplace. According to Richard Nixon's address to the nation on Labor Day, he states, and I quote, "When you have the training you need to improve your skills, you can do more. That's why we say job training will improve productivity." So as jobs shift towards technological skills, the US government can implement schools to train future generations in order to increase productivity. The Pew Research Center did a study on the use of technology in the workplace, and they found that from over 1,000 workers, 59% of these workers responded that they use the email and internet not only for personal use, but also for use in the workplace. This helps them with their accessibility. And also 51% of these people found that networking was easier using technology because they could reach out and talk to other businesses instead of having to actually fly there, which also increases productivity. 39% of these workers also found that there was flexibility in their working hours, as they could work from home or from the workplace. And 35% found that there was an increase in their hours, but not quantitatively, but qualitatively, because you could do more on the computer than you could with handwriting. But in order to get access to this increased productivity, you would need the functions on the computer, which requires computer literacy. So the U.S. government should implement computer literacy or programming skills in classes. But a limitation or implication of this is that that workers do not abuse their use of technology. For example, workers could be at work, which helps log their hours, but they could also be on social media or not focusing. And finally, the U.S. government should implement computer literacy or programming classes because it increases the quality of life, not only by the standard of living, but also by the qualitative happiness. So if you look at the wage difference between a menial worker and a simple help desk technician who only needs simple computer literacy skills, you can see a $17,000 US dollar difference between their yearly wages. And this $17,000 could help increase the standard of living for a worker if they had computer literacy skills. To add on, the Council of Secondary Education in Kentucky predicted that in 2025, there would be a 58% increase in technological jobs. So in order to improve the standard of living for their future generations, they decided to implement a technology transfer course in their classes, which teaches these students computer literacy and then how to transfer it into the workplace. And that would increase the standard of living. But if we look at the qualitative happiness, you could see that in A World Without Work by Derek Thompson, also in our stimulus packet, he says, and I quote, "Internet plus the cheap availability of artistic tools have already empowered millions of people to produce culture from their living rooms. And this allows people to become cultural producers, which stimulate the creativity and expression and artistic tools within them. And people could also pursue dream jobs to be artists, but because they could upload their stuff online, but they could also have a physical job. So this would increase both their qualitative happiness and standard of living. According to Derek Thompson, 400,000 hours are uploaded onto YouTube every day, and there are 350 million photos uploaded onto Facebook. This shows how much people want to share with the rest of the community, and it increases the qualitative happiness. But a limitation of this is that there could be cyberbullying online, which inversely decreases quality of life and may cause suicide as well. So another perspective that I found to my research question was specific vocational job training. So Ben Castleman, a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, stated that there's an increase in unemployment not because of the technological shift, but rather because menial job requirements are increasing. So in order to help these workers get these menial jobs, they should help job training and teach this in schools. So because menial jobs are becoming so specific, and in July 2016, there was a 208% increase in unemployment of menial jobs, which translate to 379,000 jobs in the U.S. Sam Fleming, the U.S. economics editor at Financial Times, also found that there was a 79% decrease in weavers or knitters from 2001 to 2011, which is a significant decrease of menial jobs. So their solution to this problem is to increase vocational training in schools. But this is a very weak solution, as it only focuses on the employment aspect, not on productivity or quality of life. And to add on, these menial jobs are quickly replaceable by technology. So through all this training, they would still not be able to pursue a better life. And another implicit assumption would be that current workers would forego their current jobs and wage to go to these vocational schools. So in conclusion, through my research project, I found that the U.S. government should require computer literacy or programming classes in school because it decreases the unemployment rate, increases productivity and standard of living. Thank you. In this process, I think most of the time was taken for developing my research question, because at first, when I was reading through the stimulus packet, I thought that I had a special interest in how automation was going to take over industries, and I thought I could focus on that. But so my initial question was focused on automation, but as I looked through resources, I discovered that it was a very weak research question. So I started to look at the employment aspect of it, and as I looked at the employment aspect, I found that education was not. Education was a big part of it as well, especially in computer literacy or programming. So that so through like half of the process, that it was from transferring from automation to employment, and I think that was a really important process during like finding my question.
Okay. And after conducting this research, how did your thinking about this topic change?
Well, initially I thought this was kind of a stupid question, because in this day and age, most people have technology and they would know how to implement like technology in the workplace. But as I did more research, I found out more people like didn't have access to technology, and also there were a lot of jobs that required computer literacy or programming skills that were going unfilled. So I definitely changed my perspective on this being a stupid question, because it's a very real problem in our society.